Welcome back. Recent years have seen a subtle change in the way in which the Australian public has treated debate shows. Traditionally, we've had one big show each year in each capital city, but over recent years there's been a trend towards a series of regional boat shows in various areas in each state through the year. Now, the latest was the Sunshine Coast Boat Show held at Mooloolaba in September 1988, and it certainly, for me, consolidated the trend and showed up the practicality of this type of boat show offering. The boats are much more intimate, they're relatively small, they show product which is relevant to the local area, which I believe is really most important. And I was quite surprised at what a marvellous job the Mooloolaba Lions Club did in organising this boat show, and what a great display was put on by the people who had their products there. Now, it was pretty comprehensive. Manufacturers from all over southeast Queensland were there, along with people who provided boating type services such as the charter operators, and even suppliers of commercial power units had quite large displays. Again, that's most unusual for a regional boat show. The Lions ran a series of competitions which were interesting right through the weekend, and there's our old friend Polly Trolley, which again is built in the area. Now, it's right, the basin is adjacent to the river. There was quite a lot of sailing went on. I had the pleasure of starting this moth race that you see in the background, and the kids up to 12 or 13 did a superb job of sailing the little boat. I was really most impressed with all that. Pacific Marinas put in a temporary marina which will be installed permanently when the adjacent Fisherman's Wharf development is finished. Now, this will be shops and boutiques, little restaurants, a little service centre there, which it will bring Mooloolaba into the 80s and 90s as far as its offering to locals and tourists is concerned. You can see how large the specially made yacht basin is there and how suitable it is for that type of development. Now, the Sunshine Coast, I've often heard it said, is where the Gold Coast was about 15 years ago. Now, I hope in 15 years the Sunshine Coast doesn't get to where the Gold Coast is now. There's a little bit of high-rise popping up, very high class and beautifully done, as is exemplified by the breakwater there. I hope we don't see the proliferation of high-rise that we've seen in the Gold Coast, and that the Sunshine Coast retains some of the special character that it has, and it really does have a nice and special feel about it. This is the Mooloolaba Yacht Club, famous for itinerant yachties and boaties moving up and down the Queensland coast, an absolutely essential stop, not only for fuel and provisions, but also for the marvellous social atmosphere that prevails there. And directly to the west of that is one of the largest canal estate developments in southeast Queensland, the Kawana Waters Estate. Most interestingly, these canals are much larger in their width and depth than the ones that we're used to seeing around the Surfers Paradise area. That's an interesting change. Moving north along the beach, and this stretch of beach goes effectively from Caloundra right up to Noosa. We had a look on a coach which incidentally was built in the area, operated by a local operator, Lookaburra Tours. The coach was built in the area, and I was most impressed with the quality and workmanship of the local coach builders. Now, the Sunshine Coast is also the site for one of the most interesting new hotel developments that I've ever seen. The Hyatt at Coolum is a 150-hectare golf and spa resort development, which is scattered through a series of lakes and canals and rivers over the 150 hectares, has 3 kilometres of beachfront at Coolum, and is a truly superb new development. Now, getting back to the way we really expect to see the Sunshine Coast, the Ginger Factory is one of the most interesting and attractive tourist attractions there, and not so long ago the Robertsons, husband and wife, designed and built and launched the Ginger Belle, which takes people for brief excursions on the river there. Now, she has a Lees Ford diesel engine driving an 1890 Marshall vertical steam engine. The paddles do 22 RPM, and she truly is a beautiful old paddle steamer, really a must for a trip there. And the Ginger Factory also has Partington's Vintage Motor Museum, which again is well worth seeing if you're into old cars and bikes. Now, next time you're north, don't drive through and ignore the Sunshine Coast. Drop off, have a look at all of the attractions, and between you and I, if you're looking at retiring or if you're looking at investing in a little bit of real estate, I really reckon that this is the area that's going to go in the future. Back after this.